Welcome my beautiful students. In this video, we are going to focus on question 9 from section B of Mathematics, paper 2 for the year 2024. So we've covered section A, right? So we have question 9 coming from the topic of trigonometry. The question reads, the diagram shows a triangle PQR in which distance PR is equal to 8.9 centimeters, QR is equal to 12.5 centimeters, and angle PQR is equal to 130.6 degrees. And we are given this diagram. Calculate the first one. We want the distance PQ. So the first step that I'm going to do is, first I'm going to label the distance with its corresponding angle. This distance PQ corresponds to angle R. So here I'm going to put small letter R, here small letter P, here small letter Q. Now there are two rules that you can use when solving a non-right angle triangle. You can use a sine rule or a cosine rule. So how do you know that you are going to use a sine rule? So for this question, we are going to use a cosine rule. Reason being, two distances are given and we are told to find the third distance. So as long as you are given two distances and required to solve a third distance, then you are supposed to use a cosine rule. For a sine rule, if you are solving for a distance, you are going to be given one distance and at least two angles. So let us write our formula for cosine rule. So I'm going to start with the letter representing the distance that we are solving for. So the distance that we are solving for is PQ. The letter from PQ is R. So you say R squared is equal to, then what comes after equal sign are two letters representing the two distances that we are given. So here we are going to have P, you square it, plus C, Q, square it, minus 2P, Q. So use the same letters, these two letters, then cos C, the first letter, which is R. So this is the formula. We have R squared is equal to, what is the distance for P? 12.5. You square it plus Q 8.9. You square it minus 2 multiplied by 12.5 times 8.9 cos what angle? 130.6. So I'm going to square 12.5 times 12.5. So I'm getting 156.25 plus 8.9 times 8.9. I'm getting 79.21. Then I'm going to multiply 2 by 12.5 times 8.9 cos 130.6. So I'm getting 1, 0. So 1, 0. This should be a plus. So 102.8768. At this point, I'm just going to add all these numbers. So I'm going to say 156.25 plus 79.21 plus 102 0.8768. So I'm getting about 338.3368. Then here we need to take the square root of both sides. So what is the square root of this number? So square root answer, I'm getting 18.3939, which is R is equal to 18.4 as our final answer. So that is the distance for R. So let's move on to now the area. So area of triangle PQR. So I'm going to say area is equal to half. Now remember we have all the three distances now. So which two distances are you supposed to use when solving for area? So you use the two distances that are forming an angle. So the first distance is the distance Q, because it's part of this angle. Then the second distance is the distance P, is also part of this angle. So this angle B here is made by these two distances. So these are the two distances that you're supposed to use. So you say half PQ. Then the sine of the angle given B. So you say half, what's the distance for P is 12.5. Then for Q, 8.9, sine 130.6. So I'm going to say 12.5 times 8.9, then sine 130.6 divided by 2. So according to my calculations, I'm getting the area of 49.322. So area is equal to 49.3, we have centimeters squared. So this is our final answer. Then for Roman number 3, we just need the shortest distance from R to PQ. So if we move from R to PQ, okay, so the shortest distance R is this point, and this shouldn't be B, so this should be R. I forgot, I made a mistake, so this should be R, but the calculations are okay. So we are moving from this letter R up to the distance PQ. So this PQ is the distance that we are going to use when calculating. Therefore, the formula for shortest distance is equal to 2 multiplied by the area divided by the B. So the B is the base in our case. B represents this distance PQ. So you say 2 multiplied by 49.3 divided by what is our B. So the B is this distance representing PQ, which is 18.4. So 49.3 times 2, then divided by 18.4. So I'm getting my final answer as 5.36 as my final shortest distance. So we move on to question B. So question B, we are given a trig equation. So it's very important you understand the quadrant. So let me just give you a simple illustration for you to see. So this is 0 degrees, 90 degrees, 180, 270. Then also this can be seen as 360 if we move one complete revolution. So this region here is called the first quadrant. Then here we have the second quadrant, third quadrant, fourth, quadrants. So there are 4 quadrants that you're supposed to use when dealing with these equations. Now I'm going to give you a simple mnemonic that you can be using when solving for these. So in the first quadrant, I'm going to put A for O. Then in the second quadrant, I'm going to put S. So S represents sign, which simply means that sign is positive in the second quadrant. Then in the third quadrant, I'm going to put T. So only turn is positive in the third quadrant. Then in the fourth quadrant is C. So the mnemonic that I'm going to give you is cast. So you can be using this to remember. So A, O are positive in the first quadrant. S, sign is positive in the second quadrant. T, tan is positive in the third quadrant. C, cos is positive in the fourth quadrant. Now, if you look at the range, we want the angle between 90 to 270. And if you look at this equation, we have 2 sine x is equal to 1. So if you look at the sign is positive, which simply means that we need an angle for sine that is positive, and that angle must be in the range between 90 to 270. So what quadrant can sine be positive in that range? So we need an angle in the second quadrant. So according to that, we need an angle in the second quadrant. So what are you supposed to do? First, we are going to find the angle in the first quadrant. Then we use that to find the angle in the second quadrant. So let's do that. So step number 1, we need to get rid of the number in front of sine. So this divide by 2, divide by 2. So we are going to have sine x is equal to 1 divided by 2 is 0.5. So we shift the sign to the right side. We have x is equal to sine of inverse of 0.5. So sine of 0.5 is same as a special angle. So this will give us a 30 degrees. 30 degrees is the angle from the first quadrant, but according to the range, we want the angle between 90 to 270. So to find the other angle, I'm going to say 180. Since it's in the second quadrant, 180 minus 30, giving me 150 as our final answer. So how did we know that we are looking for an angle from the second quadrant? We knew that because we know that in the second quadrant, sine is positive. So as long as if you can master these points of in the first quadrant, second, then this question will never be an issue. Now let's go to question C. So question C, we are told to simplify. So I'm going to first start by factorizing the upper. So 3 is common. What else is common? So since this x is raised to the power 3 and this is raised to the power 2, so the lowest number between 3 and 2 is 2. X squared is common. We open brackets. 3x squared into 3x cubed, we just get x, minus 3 into 6 is 2. Then this x squared is already outside, so we are done factorizing the numerator. So let's go to the denominator. What is common here? X is common. So x into x squared is just x. X into negative 2x is negative 2. So we can see that these two are the same, so we can cancel. Therefore, we have 3x squared over x. So we can still reduce. X here is 1, x here is 1. Therefore, our final answer is 3 times x. So this is how we can answer this question. That's it for this video. Thanks for watching.